On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, I'm joined by the great Omar Kelly, and we will discuss everything under the sun Miami Dolphins during the bye week, including all these latest rumblings about the Tyreek Hill and Kansas City connection. We'll get Omar's thoughts on all that. Plus, I'll ask him who his most pleasant surprise is as a player so far and who his biggest disappointment as a player is so far during the season. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field on the near side, man open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one after just playing Omar Kelly's favorite intro on
that
the
thing
internet.
was long. It's bro. Last time we talked, I told you gotta cut that thing down.
Hey, that's why I do the cold open now. So
I know. Yes, I know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Pleasure to have you back on the show, sir. It's been a minute. Hope life is treating you well. You're doing great things over
ground. That's the important thing. I'm above ground. Literally, I think I went to my cousin's funeral 2 weeks ago. He was younger than me. He got murdered. Good kid. And just put things in perspective. No matter what you got going on, you know what? Could be worse.
That's very true. And speak about a cold open right there. There you go.
Yeah,
Holy man. My condolences though. That's crazy that, you said he's younger than you. So,
somebody took his body, killed him, took his body from Pembroke Pines and dumped it in the oceans in like Fort Myers. And we don't know why.
Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah.
My condolences once more. I couldn't imagine. I haven't had tragedy like that strike me, knock on wood, yet. So, I get all flustered when I hear someone take a tone with my daughters. I can only imagine if you lost someone that you love like that. So that's ridiculous. I don't even know what else to say. My condolences.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. My point is, no matter what you got going on, like even Big E, he's got all the healthcare issues. Like you're above ground. You're not. We talked about health stuff before we even started the show. But I got to lose like 10 pounds. I got to focus in on. I got to lock in, and everybody, you're still breathing. You got another day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm coming down for the Raiders game, and my goal is to lose, double-digit pounds too by the time I come down for that.
Double-digit? What day is the Raiders?
Was it November 17th?
That means you got we're not going to count this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 weeks to lose 15. Okay, Reese?
Yeah, I'm going to try. Fire the treadmill up. So, Dolphins bye week. Before we get into everything, your thoughts on how the season's gone so far, besides the fact it's obviously not been up to our expectations?
What did you expect when you lost 2 quarterbacks? What were your expectations then?
Well, I meant expectations preseason, like heading into the season.
Oh, yeah, okay. But then, things change when you lose 2 quarterbacks. They just do. I mean, things change when you lose one quarterback.
Well, look at that. Let's count one.
Don't shortchange Skylar Thompson like
brother,
that.
you might give me the same production Skylar gave me against Seattle, okay?
It's a hostile environment. I'm not going to make the laundry list of excuses for Chris.
It's okay. It's a hostile environment, but Tim Boyle was making throws that Skylar wasn't making.
Yeah, and also you forgot that Seattle probably turned off the dogs in that situation and was just like, let's just get out through the game. Don't act like they were just really playing.
Well, that throw to Jonnu under the bracket coverages, that 13-yard gain was a tight win, and that catch that Durham Smythe should have caught in the back of the end zone. And that was nice placement.
But in fairness, the Dolphins looked at Tim Boyle and said, literally, you are a practice squad quarterback. You'll never be more than our practice squad quarterback. This isn't even an option or a debate. So, and on top of that, the locker room was all on board with what they did. So let's just assume that's the best that Tim Boyle can ever play in an NFL game.
Okay. But, is that really a good barometer to use, considering they were the same staff that told us that Skylar Thompson was a competent contingency plan and backup?
I can't make the argument that he is, or I can't make the argument that he isn't. What I can tell you is that with my eyes told me he beat out Mike White, who right now is, yes, a practice squad quarterback, but was known and viewed as a competent backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
If Skylar beats out a guy that I view as a competent backup quarterback, then okay, he earned the job. It's not like Skylar didn't earn the job. Did the $4 million Mike White was making play a factor in the decisions? Probably. But Skylar earned the job. We began training camp, I thought, and even talked to him about it. Do you think you're going to get a fair shot? Because at that point, he hadn't got a fair shot. Put that video out next day. Here's your fair shot. Go win it. And lo and behold, he won it. So I'm not going to sit here and say, and I think Seattle was such a hostile environment. It's still, come on, name me a more hostile road environment.
Kansas City.
No, because
since the 90s, it's been hard to win. When Montana was there, it was still hard to win in Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City's a good one, but they say Seattle's crowd noise and
the 12th man, right?
That's I mean, they're reputable. Their reputation is the 12th man. It's a loud atmosphere. They had all kinds of communication problems, and I'm not making excuses for Skylar, because if you told me to put my hand on the Bible and plead my life to you that Skylar can win a game, I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm good. But I truth is, I don't know.
Well, here's the issue, Omar. The problem is he looks like the same exact guy from year one. Same mistakes. Can't process and read a defense. Worth a damn. Can't make. He's in a timing and he's in a timing offense.
Not operating it on time.
Yeah, he's in a timing offense for 3 years. He's still not a timing guy. Brother, that guy cannot anticipate. And this is kind of a problem Huntley has, right? You saw Huntley, the first read wasn't there. He's bailing a lot. These guys can't anticipate, at all, really.
Okay, give me, and let's have this educated conversation. This is why I love talking to you. Name me the number of quarterbacks in the NFL right now that can anticipate and move from read 1 to read 3. Give me a number.
I'd say probably at least like 12 to 16.
I'd go like 25. And that doesn't even so that's you're short like 8, not 7. It for starting teams. Like, are we really expecting backups to do this? Like, Flacco could do it. Flacco's an established veteran starting quarterback who just fell on hard times, and after all these years of being discarded, he's got another opportunity, got another team, and he's out there, he's playing well. Andy Dalton could probably do it. We're not 100%.
He can.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference you saw with him coming in for Bryce Young, was he could read and process faster. So I was shortchanging it. You're probably right. It's probably 20, 25 for sure.
But like, expecting a backup to do it, now, should he be operating on time? Yes, he should. And Skylar wasn't operating on time. But then again, when you look at the coach's film, a lot of those situations wasn't just him screwing up. Like, I give you a perfect example. The one play where I think he broke his ribs, which was the second Hail Mary situation He's scrambling to his right. Literally, he's got one option on that side of the field. One option. And it's Jalen Waddle. And you know what Jalen
Is this the play inside the 10? Are you talking about the play
no,
inside
I'm talking
the 10?
about right before the half where he got just walloped.
Okay.
On a sack.
All right.
Scrambling away. And Jalen Waddle, and it's like the Hail Mary situation again. They got a second opportunity to Hail Mary.
Okay.
And Jalen Waddle runs out of bounds, giving himself up on the play. For what reason, I have absolutely no idea, because it absolutely makes no sense that he's
probably knew the ball wasn't going to get there anyways.
It didn't matter. No, the ball could have got there. Instead of cutting up field, Jalen runs out of bounds, and then it's like, oh shoot, I ran out of bounds. Let me get back in. My point is, it wasn't just him out there sucking eggs. He wasn't out there the only person putting out a stink bomb. So but like everything else, we put all the blame and all the credit to the quarterbacks.
No, I don't.
I
just don't think Skylar's very good.
I'm not going to argue with you about it. I just don't think we know. We don't know. And do I want to know? No, not really. I would rather just get Tua back, and I'd rather Tyler Huntley continue to progress. But the truth of the matter is, we have no proof that Tyler Huntley is that much better of a quarterback than Skylar Thompson. Tyler Huntley hasn't exactly been good the last 2 games.
Yeah, he's been okay. First game wasn't very good. First game wasn't very good. Second game, he looks like he did get more comfortable and better, but it still had its. There was, like I said, there were still the warts. I mean, you watch the film; he's bailing prematurely in the pocket if the first read isn't there continuously. He missed the first game. He missed Tyreek on 3 deep reads. The second game, he missed a couple again too. I think he went from not very good to. Somewhat competent, you know what I mean?
Somewhat competent, all right.
That's
fair. I'll accept that.
He was getting more comfortable. I think he just
hopefully we get to competent by the time we get to the Colts game.
Well, I hope so, because what's scaring me about this game is Flacco's putting up numbers with the Colts. I mean, put up 34 points this past week and 359 yards.
Flacco don't worry me. Miami's played him a number of times since.
But it feels like we're gonna need to put up points. We're not 12, 15 points ain't gonna be enough to beat the Colts. That's what it feels like.
Oh well, that's kind of their job. Score points. 21 points should be like the standard of what you're scoring in the NFL. If you don't, you got a problem, and they clearly have a problem.
Yeah.
But I think my point is, I think that's what comes when you're on your 13 quarterback. The reality, they run one of the more complicated offenses in the NFL, one of the more complicated languages in the NFL, one of the more complicated pre-snap operations in the NFL. And they're doing it with a guy who has been there practicing for all of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He'll have 13 practices by the time he gets to the Colts.
But isn't that something that frustrates you as someone who's been covering this team for a long time and been through so many different coaches? Doesn't that frustrate you that you're not taking out some of the window dressing to make it easier for this guy to operate your offense?
I think they have taken out the window dressing.
The pre-snap motion this past game was clearly they weren't as heavy with it.
Yeah, I think they have taken out a lot of the window dressing. I think they have simplified it a ton. The problem is, you're simplifying it for a guy who can probably first game he might have known 20 plays. Second game probably got to 35.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully he's up at 50 this next game, and still working on chemistry with other receivers. I'm like, the bottom line for me is, exactly what do you want it to look like in this situation? What is the standard that you want to have? Like, you are in the worst situation any NFL team could be in, and your job of your head coach is just make it work. Like Tim Gunn, just make it work, figure it out. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to figure it out. But here's another thing that I want to take issue with Dolphin fans.
Uh-oh.
And I have said this on my podcast. I've said this on any platform that I ever get the opportunity to speak or write on. Like, you Dolphin fans are so damn disrespectful to Raheem Mostert and what he adds and what he contributes to the team. You were not only without your starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, but you were without the starting running back, Raheem Mostert, who had the second best statistical season of all running backs last year, only behind Christian McCaffrey. And you acted like, No big deal. It's okay. Like, he's important. He's really important. I know you're in love with Raheem, with Achan, and you're in love with Jalen Wright, and every young back is a sexy back that you need to invest in the young back. They can't touch his jockstrap.
Jalen can.
Jalen who?
Jalen Wright can.
Bro.
Come on, brother. The vision and the jump cuts he's been through the holes. Like
Jalen Wright will confess to you, I'm not as good as Raheem Mostert right now. Jalen Wright will tell you that. And that's so damn disrespectful from Dolphin fans. And shame on you, Reason. It's like you guys. It's like you have a nice 7 at home cooking you dinner. And
we want to go for a 9. We want to go look out for that 9.
And you're like, yeah, I want that young sexy thing over there. Let me get that young sexy thing. Don't know if she can cook. Don't know if she clean. Don't know if she have a dirty house. You just want whatever's new. And like, okay, the infatuation, the opinion was Devon Achane is going to take this backfield. It's going to be his job. It like Raheem is history. Okay, how did that look for you the last 4 weeks? How'd that go? You like it?
If the blocking was a little better, I would like it a lot more.
On the blocking, because the blocking was the same for Raheem. It still got done, right?
That was actually, I thought this week against New England was one of their better, especially on that touchdown drive, was one of their better showings in terms of overall blocking.
But the Patriots also suck. So
110%.
Is that a great measuring stick?
No, because let's see what Raheem does when he's banged up a little bit, because that's going to happen. And when we have to face a better front.
You're right. And but I will say this, the respect level that Dolphin fans, you need to put more respect on his name as opposed to what you're doing, which is just everybody can replace him. Everybody, you think just like you thought everybody.
Hey, I've got an agenda at play. Okay, Achan and Wright have made my draft man crush lists the last 2 years, and they drafted them. So at least I got a legitimate agenda at play here. All right. But with Raheem Mostert, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even expect him to look as good as he did against New England. But then the thought creeps back into my head, okay, he's fresh. How long is he going to be fresh for? Is he going to look like this in December and January?
Oh, man.
That's a legitimate question. Has he been healthy? Every December, January, he's been hurt, though. Every December and January since he's been a Dolphin, he's been hurt. Go back to 2022.
A hand and what was the other injury? And a high ankle sprain. It is what it is. It's not like his body wore down. He got hurt. Like, anyway. Dolphin fans, man, y'all the most disrespectful fan base in America. Just you're good players. They don't matter. It's whatever.
Well, do you?
He's different. Raheem is different. Raheem is different. I would argue to you that Raheem is probably the third most talented back that I've covered, behind Reggie Bush and behind.
You were around for Ricky, weren't you?
Yeah, Ricky. I was around for Ricky, but I was around for the end of Ricky, which was the, I don't really care about football. I'm just here because I'm obligated to be here, Ricky.
Talk about disrespect. You out here disrespecting my boy Ronnie Brown like it ain't a damn thing over here.
Raheem is way better than Ronnie Brown. I'm sorry. Raheem is way better than Ronnie Brown. Like, no. I'm sorry. You put Ronnie Brown ahead of Raheem.
Let me guess. You're one of those people that also gives Chad Pennington all the credit for that season when it was Ronnie Brown running the Wildcat.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody on that team would tell you that Ronnie Brown was.
I will. I'll tell you that was Ronnie Brown. Because if you don't got Ronnie Brown, you don't got the Wildcat.
Bro, the minute and people tell this story all the time. The absolute very first practice Chad Pennington got there. Practices look completely different. The ball never touched the ground. Third downs converted, red zones converted, goal to go situations converted. It was just so much different of an efficient offense. And yeah, the Wildcat helped jumpstart the season, but it was Pennington's efficient play, and that set the standard for what Miami quarterbacking should look like. And it really left an imprint. Whereas this stuff, man, all this other stuff, and that's what I like about Tua. It's generally, not counting Buffalo, very efficient play. And if he just tries to be that and do that, I think they'll have much more success, as opposed to him trying to play hero ball, which we saw how that ends up.
You know, I got to ask you this because we talked about it all year when we did our podcast every 4 weeks last year. Your thoughts on Julian Hill so far this season? Because what a disaster that guy's been. Holy.
One of the most penalized guy in the NFL. Maybe he's got to dial down his aggression.
And he whiffs on assignments sometimes too, in fairness.
Yes, people have told me that. And you know what do you want? You want Durham Smythe back in there? Is that what you want?
I want more reps for Jonnu.
Yeah. There's more to that than meets the eye. I don't think Jonnu can do what Julian Hill does, though. Julian Hill, when he hits and makes contact, he cleans people out.
Yeah, when he squares you up, he's a better blocker than Jonnu. I'll give you that 110%. But I mean, what good is that when how many big plays have you already negated this season?
Wow. He's got to clean it up. No excuses. He's got to clean it up, and he knows that.
Let me ask you this. Does it kind of, again, you've watched so many coaches, defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, head coaches. Let's go to the New England game. Perfect example. Keon White takes the roughing the passer penalty. They bench him for a few plays. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised that we have more of a country club culture instead of an accountability culture where, if Julian Hill takes a bad penalty, why aren't you sitting him down for a couple reps and sending a message?
I wrote about that. Mentioned it, I think, in a Miami Herald column I wrote recently. And you knew and suspected that this is what comes with your coach. He wants to be everybody's buddy. Well, when you're everybody's buddy, you can't penalize anybody. This is a timeout kind of organization. You go have a timeout. Let's go sit in the corner, as opposed to spankings. Everybody could raise their kids differently. Doesn't necessarily mean one is right, one is wrong. I've grown up in the NFL in a culture where you screw up, you have a seat for a couple of games, for a couple of. But then here's the thing: who's to say Durham didn't lose his job because of the mistakes he was making, and that opened the door for Julian? We don't know that. So, how tough do I think Mike McDaniel's being on his players? Not tough at all. But I don't have enough proof or credence to be able to say, who have we seen get benched? Only person I've seen get benched is Durham Smythe.
Yeah, but is this a reason why you think we are one of the most undisciplined teams in the NFL when it comes to penalties and such? Because these players really don't fear that much repercussion?
If I had to answer the question, yeah. Who plays consequences? Chosen got cut, and Durham got benched. Those are the consequences so far this season. Durham got demoted.
Yeah,
that's it. And truthfully speaking, they just might not be using the packages that Durham's well versed in. But Durham's a very smart guy, so I don't think that works.
So. Okay, well, I guess an extension of that blocking, you are a guy who continuously preaches about the O-line and such. What are your thoughts on the O-line so far? Because to me, it looks like you've got a mishmash and it's costing you in the sense of Eichenberg and Jones. Jones finally had a good game, but up until that point, he absolutely mitigated disaster the whole season in the preseason.
Not the preseason.
I did a film breakdown. He was a disaster. You saw the pulling issues. You saw the second level issues consistently in the preseason. Anyways, I digress.
I want you to send me that film breakdown because I
will. Okay, so you got Robert Jones and Eichenberg, two guys who work best in a phone booth, don't really operate well in space. Then you've got three guys in Brewer, Jackson, and Armstead who can operate in space. And I mean, they can operate in a phone booth if you really ask them to, but they're best working in space. Do you think that's why we've seen such a dip in our ability to gain yards on the outside zone runs? Is you got two guys who you're either asking to pull or whatever the case may be is they're slow to their landmarks, whatever the case is. And then you see us excelling in running through the gaps because that's what some of these guys work best at in terms of Eichenberg and Jones, while Brewer can work in a gap scheme no problem with how strong he is in his anchor. What are your thoughts?
I haven't been impressed with him either.
I actually don't think he's been that bad. But
you just associated bad with it. That he was one of your top free agent acquisitions, replacing a very important player, Connor Williams.
Yeah, I think he's been better than competent. I think he's been decent, pretty good.
I hate when people describe things like, "Oh, it's been competent. It's been okay. It's average."
Well, have you seen our offensive line the last couple of years? Competent is a blessing when you come by.
Last year they were the anchors of the team. They drove the run game, second best run game in the NFL. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is, that run game balances things out for your offense. It keeps people on their toes. And unfortunately, when you don't have that run game, it constrains everything. It chokes it out. And right now you're seeing a lot of offense being choked out, primarily because they're not balanced, because they don't keep teams off balance. So that's, to me, problem number one that needs to get fixed.
How good did you think Armstead was this past weekend when he came back? He looked like his old self, eh?
Yeah, that's a step in the right direction. Seeing Tehran be out there healthy, those are critical things that would allow him to. I haven't been pleased with any of the offensive line play thus far. Nobody. And I think Armstead getting back to where he once was is a starting point. Austin Jackson getting back to where he once was, that's a starting point. The guard play, I think it's going to be what it's going to be. But I think Aaron Brewer having to step up and become a better center, become more forceful, get to the second level on blocks. I think that's really what's the secret ingredient it's going to be for moving forward, especially if you want this team to be balanced. They have to be effective running the ball. And if you don't feel like you have the horses to go run the ball, then you got to go get the horses, because we're not wasting the season.
Do you think Wynn comes back?
I saw him in the locker room the other day, and I felt tempted to deal with a week-long suspension by talking to him. I don't know. It doesn't seem so. It really doesn't. I don't know where he is or how close he is. He's there every day. He's rehabbing. We don't see his rehab, but you just don't get the sense that, hey, I'm good and I'm ready to go. And it's at least not going to be October. Maybe it's going to be November for him and Bradley Chubb and Cameron Good and all those other guys.
What kind of setback did he have, do you think?
I would have to talk to him to find out. And doing that would subject me to fines and suspensions, and it's not worth it for a guy who really nobody but offensive line trench play heads care about. Like, most Dolphin fans don't even know that he's a starter and he's out. Yeah.
Well, he was good last year when he was in. Him and Connor were, and that's another thing, do you think they burnt that bridge with Connor by not offering him that contract? And because the word was he was open to playing guard this offseason, just not really for us. And I mean, if you wouldn't have burnt that bridge and you brought him back, I mean, him at left guard next to Brewer, we might have some better results right now.
Bridges get burnt, bro. It's what happens. Bridges get burnt. I don't know what happened there, but the bridge was clearly burnt and there was no coming back from it.
So, all right. So you haven't been impressed with anyone. Has Jackson looked like he's regressed a little bit to you since he's lost Robert Hunt next to him?
Yes. I don't know if he's going to get it back, but yes.
which is crazy because that was something I talked about in the offseason. I was like, something that no one's talking about is the ripple effect of losing Robert Hunt and the effect it's going to have on
but the
Austin
D-line
Jackson.
The D-line lost Christian Wilkins, and Zach Sealer looks just as good as he did last year.
Yeah, but Calais Campbell's been really good too.
Calais barely plays 30 snaps a game. Zach
But
Sealer,
he's been impactful when he's been in there.
True, but Zach's effective no matter who you put next to him.
Oh,
Why can't your offensive lineman be effective no matter who you put next to him?
And bro, you're not going to hear an argument from me. I mean,
if
I wanted Tristan Wirfs that draft, they took Austin Jackson. When they took Austin Jackson, I was live reacting actually on TD Finstock when we do our Tuesday night panels. I was live reacting over there. You could hear the smack on my forehead from Canada all the way down to South Florida because I was not a fan of Austin Jackson coming out. So I'm not going to sit here and defend the guy.
He turned the corner last year.
He did. And I think he's turned a corner since he's been under McDaniel because what we run suits what his skill set, albeit now that he's got to make up for the inefficiencies of having a guy like Liam Eichenberg next to him, it's a totally different ball game for him. Opinion.
How did Liam catch a stray? Like Liam's probably like their best graded offense. Not that I believe in grades.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, not that I believe in grades, but Liam hasn't been a problem except for the last game. Liam hasn't been a problem, which is a surprise. But he still catches a stray. The whole offensive line, I don't like it. I'm not riding with it. It's not what I expect. And based off last year, it's not good enough. And maybe it gets good enough with Teron Armstead being in there and helping stabilize and helping push guys. But
like,
this is not good.
This is what's so baffling about Chris Grier, Omar. You dubbed the name of that 2016 line. We all remember it. The Unicorns, right? Laramie Thompson, like when Brandon Albert was healthy, he was phenomenal when he was healthy. And that whole line, Pouncey to the right side. Grier has literally seen the results of a great offensive line take Ryan Tannehill and that team when Tannehill went down and Matt Moore had to lead the way to the playoffs. And he still says, we talked about Skylar Thompson earlier, Omar. Everyone wanted to say, oh, McDaniel was brought in. He had to fix Tua. He had to make Tua work. Okay, first of all, we've learned that, Tua's made McDaniel work. That's number one. Number two, who's to say they didn't say that same shtick with, oh, we traded up for Liam Eichenberg. We've invested sweat equity. We've invested draft equity in him. Oh, you got to fix Austin Jackson. We invested an 18th or 19th overall pick in him. You got to make that work. That's the sense. And it's the same thing with Skylar Thompson. Listen, we're starting to see the ego and the stubbornness with Mike McDaniel in the same ways we saw with Flores, just in different aspects. And you know how coaches are. To be a coach a head coach in the NFL, you have to have some sort of ego. Like, you could be the nicest guy in the world, but you still think you're really good and one of the best at what you do. If you didn't, you probably wouldn't be in that position. So I'm not holding that against them. You got to have it to be at that level of success. But you're starting to, I can make it work. I can make this square peg fit into this round hole. I can make it work. Don't worry about those guys. I can do it. I can make it work. And that's what one of the two, either Grier needs to turn to McDaniel and said, yo, brother, I effed up. They aren't the right guys. Or McDaniel needs to turn to them and say, listen, they've peaked. I've done the best I could with your trash. I've done the best I could. They've gotten to the highest level I can get them at. We need upgrades. This isn't good enough. Well, why are these people so afraid to have a set on them, drop them on the table, and say, here's the deal? Why are we so afraid of this?
I think that if I'm going to put the fingers of blame, put my blame finger, you know how they say spirit fingers?
Yeah.
If I'm going to put my fingers of blame on anybody for the offensive line, it's going to be Mike McDaniel. The one thing I've realized about Chris Grier is he will give the coaches what they asked for. And if this is the blueprint that you're building the team off, this is what I'm going to give you. And I've seen him do this now for 3 different coaches in terms of offensive lines.
Yeah.
There are 3 different models. And this isn't a criticism on him. And I'm certainly not the biggest Chris Grier fan and advocate and believer and supporter. But the first person who told me, you're too worried about the offensive line. We got it. We figured it out. We'll develop the guys we have, was Mike McDaniel. Chris Grier just parroted that. So it's Mike McDaniel who believes that he did enough, he's got enough. Chris Grier just parroted it. And so I'm going to put a lot of responsibility for how the offensive line plays on Mike McDaniel.
So was I wrong when I said the ego and stubbornness is coming into play a little bit here?
I don't see Mike as an ego guy. Trust me, I've covered a lot.
I'm not saying he's egotistical, but I'm saying he's clearly got some level of overconfidence here that he can make this work.
I think he's got a level of overconfidence that he can make a lot of things work. And it's not
that's fair enough. I mean,
they know who they are. They know what they're doing. They know how much they're struggling. And the reality is, have they done anything about it? Not really. Even the addition of Tyson Bowser. Okay, that guy's been there all year. You could have had that guy 10 times already. You chose not to do that. You chose not to address him. So now you're mad, like that it's not addressed. Like, you consciously made this decision. You consciously made the decision to not address those positions. You consciously made a decision to not address the trenches. Like, literally, and I know because you follow my work. I literally had to beg the team to sign Calais Campbell. Please, pretty please. Like, please.
Thank God you did too.
If you want a respectable defense, please sign Calais Campbell. And thank God they did, because he's probably the one of 3 people playing up to expectations. And he can't even have, but what about all the slaps, that they signed to after losing Christian Wilkins and Raekwon Davis? Where are they? What are they doing? Nothing.
Yeah.
Not a zip zero. And so what about the draft picks that you used to address the position where you did not a zip zero? They did nothing. And so you made this. This is what you made. So I'm not letting Chris Grier off the hook, because this is the team he made. They're weak in the trenches. They're heavily relying on their injury-prone quarterback. They got no backup. And truthfully speaking, the secondary is a little weak and aged and injured.
Poyer's not been good, brother. Poyer has not been good. He looks, never mind losing a step, that guy lost a mile. Like, he does not look. I mean, brother, when I watched the All-22 after that game, I remember watching the play where he hurt Phillips, and it's just going, oh my God, you're offering us nothing on the field, and now you're taking players away from us. Oh my God, get this guy off. Yeah, great, fantastic. Your wife's a smoke show. That's great. Proud of you. But what is happening here? Holy jeez.
I don't listen.
All because you come here on the cheap. That's it.
The whole team is built on the cheap. Your whole team is built on.
So do you think Grier?
And injury-prone players.
Do you think Grier sees another year if we don't win a playoff game, given all the resources spent?
Yeah, because
come on,
got a built-in excuse.
Oh.
Yeah, listen. He's not on. Steve Ross is not on the fire everybody tip. Steve Ross is not on the I need a sacrificial lamb for the fans kind of guy. He's aged. He's seniored. He's really trying to win, but he realizes it's the journey, not the destination. Obviously, things have not panned out well, but I don't think the journey is over. I think we'll learn a lot about this team. Like right now, who would have thought that they'd have a top 6 defense at all, despite what they've gone through? Nobody would, but they do. The run game hasn't been what you would hope it would be, but quarterback's relatively protected, decently protected. So, yeah, do I expect a lot of these, overnight position position issues to get addressed? No, I don't. But they got to figure out some solutions to the safety situation with Javon Holland. Like, are you going to go play Javon Holland with a club, or are you going to play somebody else?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what management gets paid for. But in terms of Steve Ross, like, just saying, like, yeah, somebody's got to be sacrificed for this season. It's a ton of injuries.
Yeah, but again, you already covered that. It's a ton of injuries because the GM brought on a bunch of injury-prone players.
What are they going to do when your model of your franchise is to pay 8 players $20 million a piece and then fill out your roster with age and injury-prone players that you could get for cheap?
Whose fault is that? Brandon Shore and Chris Grier.
And Steve Ross clearly greenlit it.
Yeah, and guess what? He's got the power to realize I made a mistake, not again. Because here's the thing, okay? Now I know you're pretty much on board with this, I know you've been a huge Tua supporter like I have since he was at Alabama. So even the hugest Tua supporters are on board with, we want a legitimate contingency plan in place, right? See, that's another thing we're kind of pissed off at. You didn't fix the offensive line, but you also didn't put a contingency plan in place in case the quarterback got hurt. Now, was it on the offensive line that he got hurt? No. But Skylar's injury is a little bit on the offensive line. Anyways, my whole thing here with this
I would even put that on training staff because they shouldn't have let him go back in.
Yeah, we could get. Have you been on X? They blame the training staff for every single injury.
No, I know that, but that one they did the same thing with Jalen Phillips.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have let him play.
I agree.
Not to say that the two were connected, but when you're battling something and you continue to play on it, but then you go the route that I'm saying, and then everybody calls you soft because they call Mike McDaniel soft because Mike won't play injured players, or Mike has a longer timetable than most coaches would. Or if you suffer a concussion, you're at least not playing that next week.
Yeah,
you're at least going to sit it down 1 week. So there is no winning. I think Mike has to do the best that he can for himself and his team. But ultimately, there is no winning on you go either way. Like, even if you let's say if Mike starts to become the tough guy and not everybody's buddy, he'll take losses there too.
Yeah.
Like, there is no winning in that situation. Only solution is to win.
So I was going to ask you with the whole contingency plan thing, right? We can both agree we want a legitimate contingency plan.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you want Grier making that selection?
I don't think general manager, and I should write this, I don't think a general manager has any business selecting more than 3 quarterbacks.
Well, guess what? Not many general managers get to see a third head coach unless the first 2 retired. Like, we're in unprecedented territory. This guy gets more opportunities than the guy who's caught cheating 7 days a week. It's unbelievable.
I'm not a big fire Chris Grier guy.
Brother, but the problem is, Omar, he's been here for 20 years. He's part of the loser culture that's been here for 20 years and not won a playoff game.
And you know what's part of the loser culture? Making bad choices at quarterback. That's it. That's your loser culture. Bad choices at quarterback. From John Beck to Trent Green to Dante Culpepper to Chad Henne to Chad Pennington was the one exception, to when you lost Ryan Tannehill, to when you lost Ryan Tannehill, went to Jay Cutler. Like, just consistent bad decisions as an order, to trading for Josh Rosen, to having Fitzpatrick here and then benching Fitz to start Tua. All of it is connected, and all of it is because you make bad choices and bad decisions at quarterback. You get that problem fixed, you'll be so much better as a franchise. And
what's the common denominator through all those guys who's been here for that tenure?
He doesn't make the decisions on those guys, so that's not fair. He might have made the decision on Tua. He made the decision on Tua. He made the decision to move on from Tannehill. I believe he made the decision Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick, Tua. Hold on, let me count up how many quarterback decisions. No, Fitzpatrick, Josh Rosen,
Yeah.
Tua, Skylar,
Not a much.
signing of Mike White, all of it.
That's a lot of L's. And listen, I'll give him the one thing. Did he get the right guy in terms of Tua? Yes, but durability has become now the issue. Here's the thing.
You knew what you drafted.
Okay, but hold on a sec. See, that's where context needs to be added. Everyone thought the hip would be what holds Tua back. No one thought it would be the broken nose or the concussion he took on that hip injury. No one said, okay, it's going to be concussions that hold this guy back. Everybody thought it would be the posterior wall fracture, and it has limited him. He's clearly not the athlete he was back in Alabama when he was, in 2018, he was running for a 50-yard touchdown against LSU.
He's fine. But do I want my quarterback running? He's fine. He looks more mobile now. Do I want my quarterback running?
But he's not. No, he's not. But he's not built like that. He's not supposed to be that guy.
Which is why he shouldn't have ran.
He's a pocket passer, which is why you should be building an absolute brick wall in front of him.
There you go. And it's the most mediocre offensive line in probably the NFL.
And they keep getting away with it. And that's what this is where I keep coming back to, Omar. I'll jump on the hype train in the offseason a little bit, but I'll always remind my viewers and always remind myself how many teams have won a Super Bowl with this bad of an offense, with this mediocre of an offensive line. Right? Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs had all those injuries in that playoff.
Hold on. The people who have won Super Bowls are elite quarterbacks.
Yeah, but they also really have good offensive lines.
They make good offensive lines. Elite quarterbacks make good offensive lines.
I got two words for you. Dante Scarnecchia. Okay? That man made elite offensive lines in New England. Probably the greatest offensive line coach we've ever seen.
The greatest offensive line coach in the NFL is the guy we fired because he snorted white powdery substances.
Well, Scarnecchia has been retired for 4 years. That's why. But I'm just saying, Scarnecchia was unbelievable. Right? He's the guy who told, hey, Wynn needs to leave New England because he's still got some gas left in the tank if he can stay healthy. We saw how good he was when he's healthy last year. He just can't stay healthy. So anyways, Tyreek Hill, what do you make of all of this social media noise going on with his little walk down memory lane with the Kansas City Chiefs? Nick Wright going on FS1 and saying he thinks he's going to play another snap for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you think he wants to be traded from Miami to Kansas City, contrary to what he's told us publicly?
I don't know what you're talking about in terms of has he started romanticizing about his Kansas City years?
Okay, yeah. So a couple days on IG, he put up like a reel, and it was all him when he was in Kansas City. And then he even he said something to the effect of that connection was so good, and it was a picture of him and Mahomes. Then Nick Wright went on FS1 and said, just based on things like he believes that Tyreek Hill wants to come back to Kansas City and that he's going to play another snap for the Chiefs before he retires.
Okay, I believe that.
Okay, you believe it.
But right. Okay, I mean, yeah, Tyreek got dumped by the hot girl. Does he want the hot girl back? Yeah, probably. He's happy where he's at, but like they moved on from him like he didn't matter, and he's one of the best players in the game. Mm-hmm. But my bigger issue is, why is Tyreek looking like an average receiver right now? He's supposed to be the best weapon in the NFL.
Oh, but bro, I thought Tua doesn't elevate players, bro. I thought everyone makes Tua.
Absolutely. Everybody makes Tua. Yeah. It's surprising how it looks when Tua's not there. And that's a huge reality check. It's just, I think, and I've said this stretch of games this month, this Tua on IR stint is a blessing in disguise to Dolphin fans, because now you have a greater appreciation of who Tua is, what he does, how he makes your team look, what he makes your operation look like, and how he makes his weapons better. Mm-hmm. Put some respect on his name. Mm-hmm. You could say whatever you want about his fragility, and it's all valid good. He is one hit away from probably having his career ended. If he hadn't signed his mega contract, he'd probably be playing on 1 or 2 year deals for the rest of his career in the NFL. That's just the reality of it. Okay. But he got you. He got your money. He got you. So, but what you will do is you will put some damn respect on his name because you see what it looked like without him. You always wondered. You always thought everybody else made him. Now you see who makes who. That's from McDaniel to Tyreek to Waddle to the offensive line to the running backs. Now you see the only people who can hold their head up high right now is the defense because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Agreed.
With the exception of stopping the run.
Agreed.
And I don't think there's a fix there unless you get better defensive tackles.
And to be fair, because earlier I don't think you saw me raise my hand, I actually didn't think there would. I'm on record saying I didn't think there'd be a huge drop off from Fangio to Weaver.
I'm a little surprised there hasn't been that huge of a drop off.
Now imagine if we can fix the run leaks a little bit, then we'd be lights out.
I don't see no fixes in sight.
But then you got a defense that could actually probably start winning you games while Tua was out.
I don't know if you could do that because I don't think
if you could fix the run, but I don't know if you will. Do you think
they can't get the ball back? They can't get the ball. Can they get the ball?
What do you mean? I mean, they gave Skylar some good field position a couple times, didn't they?
Okay. All right.
Huntley, the Ogba pick. By the way,
did Ogba have a pick? No. Skylar had a pick.
No. I'm talking about the next game, Huntley's first start. Remember, Ogba had that pick at midfield.
Oh hell yeah!
Remember when he caught it between his legs? He brought it down.
Yes, he did catch it between his legs.
Yeah. So we got the ball in midfield.
In 5 games, bro.
Hey, they're coming from the front. They're not even coming from Jalen Ramsey. So you got to put some respect on those picks.
Hey, I'm not putting no disrespect on Jalen Ramsey's name. You ain't getting me.
No, he's been. Hey, first 2 games he looked a little sluggish. He's been on. I think he's been, especially in run support. He's been very good in run support when he's been tasked with it. I was going to ask you, Tua, do you expect him back for Arizona?
Yes.
Tua, do you expect them to move off of him this offseason?
No.
Would you draft a guy in the first or second round?
Yes.
Have you watched any of the guys?
I watched Cam Ward.
Okay, I know you. But have you watched anyone else?
I've watched Shador a couple of times.
What do you think?
Not for me.
Okay, this weekend, 7:30 Eastern, Ole Miss, LSU, Jackson Dart, Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier, I'll send you some all 22 clips of him, can make every throw on the field. His dad was drafted as a quarterback by the New Orleans Saints in 96 and then played like a year or 2 and then became a coach. This Garrett Nussmeier kid is his first year as a starter. I'm telling you, make every throw on the field.
He mentioned to me earlier today.
Yeah, watch that kid. He's Jackson Dart's my number 4 quarterback right now. Garrett Nussmeier is vying for number 1 with Cam Ward for me.
What game did you say? Ole Miss and who?
And LSU. 3 weeks ago, Jackson Dart was number 2 in Heisman odds, but he kind of struggled against South Carolina this past weekend. But they're 2 guys that are going to be in the top 2 rounds as picks.
I don't want a first round quarterback. I want a second round quarterback or a third round quarterback. I just want a young guy to develop that I believe in, that has some upside. My first round pick, I need a defense. I need a nose tackle. I need a defensive tackle. I need a sweat.
Mason Graham from Michigan. Watch him. He's probably gonna go top 10 though. He's a beast. All right. So how does Danny Crossman remain employed?
He does things that we don't see any value in, that behind the scenes, because I don't know. Here's the thing about special teams. Are we going to blame him for Blake Ferguson screwing up a snap? Is that Danny Crossman?
That's on Ferguson, but when they stack up in one. Okay, perfect example. Who's giving Berrios that green light to fair catch a football with no one within 15 yards of you?
Berrios.
Okay, you make that decision, Berrios. There's the pine. Malik, get on your nice green cleats. Get out there. You're returning the next punt.
Malik who?
Washington.
Please.
What do you mean, please? He can return. But again, sending messages. Why no one's got a set on them? Everyone's afraid. Don't give me please.
Estridge is probably the third best receiver on the team. Did they elevate him last week or did they save it?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Because they got to save it. They Estridge is your top punt returner. And props to Braxton Berrios. Let me not be disrespectful because he's had some very dynamic punts the last couple of
he had one where he ran up the sideline.
Two. He had two. He had one last week. He had one against Seattle. I think he might have one a week. And
I got to see the film on that because I just remember the one last game where he caught the ball and he ran up the sideline and it was a smart, aware play. And I was like, oh my God. But I think you are right because I remember a few times on live reaction saying, oh, Berrios finally did something. So, and I think I've said that multiple times this season. So you might be right. You might have had two, but I mean, hey, it took us 3 years to get there. It's about time. I can't believe we're sitting here talking about freaking Braxton Berrios.
Hey, he's not a good receiver. I've made that argument for a very long time. He's not a very good receiver. He shouldn't be your number 3 receiver, but he's earning his keep as a punt returner. So I don't
know about that.
What?
I mean, you saw the play last week. There was no one within
17-yard average right now.
There was no one within 15 yards of him, and he waved it off.
I don't even think anybody is averaging higher yardage prep. Let me look it up.
Oh yeah, you look that up, and let me know how many names are in front of him.
Oh, stop it! Don't make excuses. Don't make don't.
I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you what it is.
You are making excuses.
What's why? It sounds like you're making excuses for Braxton Berrios.
No, I'm not a huge Braxton Berrios fan. I'm not. Everybody who knows me knows I'm not.
Okay, let me go.
Per return yard, per return average. Damn, they don't even count his average because he hasn't returned as many. He'd have the highest if he qualified. How does he not qualify?
Are you on NFL SIS or whatever?
No, I had to go somewhere else because I didn't want to log in. Okay. No, yeah, I gotta go on more credible websites because they don't even have him up here, but his average would be the highest of all the guys that they have. And this guy has got 5 returns. Braxton has 5 returns? So why is he not up there? Anyway. Nobody. He'd have the highest yard punt average in the NFL.
I still haven't learned to properly use NFL GSIS yet, but all right, hold on. Here we go. I'll just do this. I can go by PFF and let's see what their averages are. Kickoff, punt return. Okay. So punt return average, right?
So sad that
yards per attempt. On punt returns, they have him at 17, right? Is what you have?
Yeah. 17.
He's 5th.
He's 5th. Who's he behind?
Yeah. Let me know how many times you've heard these names. Kevontae Turpin from Dallas, Anthony Gold from Indianapolis, Xavier Smith from the from I believe the LA Rams.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Ogalamini, whatever.
Zacchaeus, from Washington. So he's
never
5th.
Heard any of these names.
Yeah, he's 5th. When are we going to see a touchdown from this guy, though?
Leave me alone, man. Leave me alone. I have beaten up Braxton Berrios enough. It's clear he's not your number 5 or he's not your number 3 receiver or your number 4 receiver, but the man is getting the job done as a punt returner. Like he's out there returning punts like his livelihood depends on it. And I give that props.
15 yards, no one around you's waving them off. That ain't like your life depended on it.
I don't see what you see, so I haven't seen that.
Go back and watch the film of last game. Even Kyle Krabs called it out on X. There was one punt where there was like literally no one around him, and he waved it down. Who's been your most surprisingly pleasant? Who's been your most pleasant surprise, and who's been your biggest disappointment in terms of players so far this season? And you can't use Tua because of the concussion.
Deshaun Hand, pleasant surprise. Looks like he's an NFL player. Pretty solid guy, pretty solid player, contributor. He's playing more, showing that he can get the job done. And my disappointment, I'm gonna go Jordan Poyer since you threw that layup. He just looks old.
Have you liked what you've seen from Jordan Brooks this year?
it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
the
okay.
linebacker play has been you know.
Yeah, it's okay. Like
Like
I gotta look at, I was thinking about doing something on the guys that left and just seeing who was the inside linebacker. Damn, quick, Jerome Baker.
Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing something on like, you keeping up with your exes.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
take a glance.
Anthony
every once in a
Walker
while.
hasn't been that great either, eh? I don't know if he's
No,
been
he's
okay.
been hurt, but he's been average. But yeah, I agree with you.
And you were talking about
Ooh,
the
Lord.
secondary. Do you think
He's got 30 tackles so far this season.
who, Jerome?
Yep, 30 tackles.
Yeah, but he's always a tackle merchant. The problem is most of those tackles are 4, 5, 6 yards beyond the line of scrimmage when guys have disengaged.
He didn't even play against Miami, too. 30 tackles.
No, he's hurt.
1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. Jerome might have balling, man.
Yeah, I got to be seeing those tackles though. He's known for 4 or 5 yards tackle down the field, right?
You act like David Long is making tackles.
I know. I think David Long's been actually one of my most disappointing players this season. Consistently shooting the wrong gap. At times he looks totally like lost out there. David Long has not been that great. I think the linebacker, I think Jordan Brooks has been the best one. Anthony Walker hasn't been good. You talk about the secondary. Are they going to add another safety, or are they waiting for Patrick McMorris to come back because he's eligible to be activated soon? But look at that Jalen Pope.
They don't need another safety. They got Elijah and they got Marcus.
Yeah, but that Jalen Pope touchdown we got away with because he didn't drag his whole foot? That was Elijah Campbell. That was all on Elijah.
I didn't say it was good. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Guys get pressed into playing opportunities, and I know you hold them to the standard that they have to perform like the starters, but he's a backup for a reason.
Yeah. But they've invested so much time in the kid. You'd think, I don't know, whatever.
He's one of the league's top gunners, so that's why they've invested the time. It's an important position.
Yeah.
It's just now you're expecting more. And good organizations, I say good organizations, they have young players waiting in the wings who are young and developmental. And then when opportunity like this presents himself, they take the job and they never let it go. That's organizations that have good young players, healthy organizations. This is not one of those. You know that. Yeah. And I don't know what can make you one of those, but it ain't here.
Because Patrick Paul was okay when he came in the start, but he ain't that man couldn't step into the heel of Armstead's shoes right now. So
no, you know what? I think if that's his first rep in a very hostile environment where he can't even hear the snap count. Was that?
I thought he was okay.
No. That was Tennessee.
Yeah, I thought he was okay.
He was okay. He was okay. For first start, he was okay.
Yeah. You just got some things to clean up, right? Like angles and stuff.
I am thinking out the box. I initially said that he cannot play
Armstead
guard.
this past weekend looked like a top 3 tackle in the NFL. That's what I'm saying.
Because he's Armstead.
That's what I'm saying.
He's a top 5 tackle in the NFL when healthy.
Yeah, when he's healthy. Yeah, for sure, 110% when he's healthy.
How often is he healthy? Look,
here we are hoping another season that he's healthy, right? So
I can't even. Like right now, you've got so many injuries that you got to overcome, and those are the challenges that every team is faced with, every team is presented with. You got a safety that needs to step up. You got a young rookie and Chop Robinson, a first-round pick that needs to step up. You got an offensive line that needs to get better. You got a quarterback that needs to get back and get healthy. You got a wide receiver in Tyreek Hill that needs to look like the alpha that he is. To me, those are the bigger issues, not necessarily, this guy's doing this or that guy's doing that. No.
Feels like it's coming on for Chop, though. No?
Based on what?
He had 5 pressures this past weekend. He had, including that big pressure to force the third down incompletion, right? From Brissett to Polk up the right sideline, smacked him real good on that stunt, made himself skinny to get through the hole. It was a pretty good rush. It feels like it's come. It feels like when he gets his first snap,
I would need to look at every single snap against New England, and I have not done that for him.
Okay. He was pretty good. He's pretty good.
watched him.
He's
during
still
the
a
game.
liability against the run. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, they just run right at him. Like, because the problem with him is, and we knew this coming out of Penn State, he needed to diversify his pass rush move set, right? And what's weird is he's not winning with trying to win with his speed and bend like he did at Penn State. He's trying to win with like bull rushes and pure power now. All of a sudden, it's really different. I didn't expect that. So,
not impressed.
Yeah, I can tell.
You
got any final thoughts where people can find you?
I do the Dolphins in Depth podcast with Barry and Isaiah Smalls. For those who subscribe to the Herald, I appreciate you. We've got a 99-cent deal for 3 months, so you can cancel after that's done. That's what I would do. So continue to hopefully subscribe and see my work. But that's me.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, Reason.
Always a pleasure, Omar. And thanks for joining the show. Guys, smash the like button, subscribe for new. And I'll be back sometime soon. Until then, fins up. Have a good evening, everyone.